So the government, again, there are a lot of theoretical background behind this particular thing. They said that if you take up R&D and the government gives not less than 50%, I said not more than 50% of the amount as a grant. If the product is not successful commercially, we write off. That is, government takes it as a grant. Right? If the product is successful, then you repay the money as it becomes a soft loan. And obviously, everyone has written off the particular thing because for the technological reasons, for the marketing reasons, it's very difficult to catch up with one project. You require a series of projects to really catch up. You cannot really. So that's another learning that has come in, that advanced technology is like moving at a bullet train, and you cannot catch a bullet train by one project. You have to run parallelly and acquire the limited speed. It takes series. I mean, it's iterations, all this particular thing. Series of projects will take you to that level. One project will never take you and make you comfortable and competitive. Right? That's what I'm learning. So the program still runs. So the names are changed every 5 years. We change the name because the planning commission says old names are not romantic. So today I think it's got some other name. Everywhere 5 years we change, but the program still runs. The program still runs. Okay. Then a lot of changes are taken place. The focus has shifted from R&D to innovation. Right? So once the focus has shifted to innovation, then the players, when you talk about R&D, we talk about institutions, IITs, we talk about CSR labs, we talk about companies' R&D centers, because R&D is supposed to be the input and with the iterations, and it becomes a product. Right? This is the pathway. Research leads to technology, technology leads to innovation, innovation leads to product, and product leads to money. That is the pathway. Now people said this is not really working very well. Right? Do not focus on the knowledge part of it, focus on the innovation perspective. So you try to be nearer to the market rather than nearer to the knowledge component of it. So then innovation has got a lot of angles, lot of dimensions. Where do we really start? Right? So abroad, many people are talking at different levels. I'll talk about one activity which India has taken. That's called looking at the independent innovators. All of you are innovators. All of you are independent innovators, because you are not started a commercial companies. You are a student, they are a faculty. All of you are got innovative ideas. You want to come with innovation, right? So your innovation needs to be supported at the particular level before you become a commercial organization. So that means you are going beyond the a structure of an organization. So a person without a structure also is competent to think, and obviously all of you are doing this particular element. Right? So independent innovators, suppose if we encourage independent innovators at the concept proving stage, at the prototyping stage, then we have a larger number of players who are very active in the innovation. If you only limit yourself to the established organizations, how many people will be the CSR and all IITs? Probably will have 20,000 people. But such a huge country of 100 crores, 20,000 people cannot support. And you require a lot, more and more people to be involved. So this is increasing what we say base of the pyramid. The base of the pyramid has to be like this. You have to have a large number of players. 100 crore country will definitely require 1 million people at least to be working on innovations, ideas, everything like that. So that is the phase of it. How do I increase the base of the pyramid? So with the particular program, this particular program was started. That's called Technopreneur Promotion Program. That is the program. TEP is the name of the program. That's called. So we said, like research, we have got several categories. I mean, when you apply for it, you got basic research, you got applied research, and you got testing research. And you got several categories. So innovation has got several. Innovation starts with the idea. So we said someone comes with an idea, for him to test the idea. So like all of the students, you come with the idea, you test the idea, you go to the faculty, you make a sketch, you make a drawing, you make a 2D model, you make a 3D model. There are several ways you try to express your ideas and then test it as a concept, right? So we said anyone testing the particular idea needs some support. Then anyone making a prototyping, first prototyping, which is a function proving prototype, needs some amount of support. And anyone moving to the startup phase, window for the concept proving stage, for the prototype and for the subsequent startup phase. All the three phases are there, and the amount is given as a grant, and then something like 300 plus for innovators are supported. A large number of innovators are supported. So the base has been created, and now it caught on. So we have got something like maybe nearly 100 incubators in the country. I am sure that IIT will have one other incubator soon. We already started one, and then we'll have one big incubator in the new campus. Right? So there are something like 100 incubators. There are some incubators who have been working so many years. The incubating strength, the startup strength is something like they cross 100. So that means if you take average of 20, 30, so that means at any point of time there are something like 2,000 startups, technological startups which are really mentored in an incubator. But the ratio is there always 1:10. If there is one incubator in here, and there will be some 10 outside, garage scientists, what we say that a larger number of people do not want to be tied up. So the garage scientists are more so than the people who are tied in an institutional framework. So if you got 2,000 here, there must be 20,000 people outside. So most of the 20,000 are really in the internet space, in the business plan side, rather than the technological side, because the turnaround, there are so many reasons for the. Okay? So now we say we are now ready. We are ready to start building innovative India. That is what is the thing. So a government is always fond of symbolism. So before we are ready, we already announced India, this is the innovation decade. Right? So announcing and naming something is always easy for us. So we said innovation decade started, though we are not really started working on innovations in any very big way. So we are started. So IPR, intellectual property, becomes very important part of it. Intellectual property has been in discussion in India from the first 1970 onwards. But the space was all taken by the pharma companies. Chemical, pharma, food, they had taken the entire space. So whenever you talk about a patent, and you automatically refer to pharma companies. And Hyderabad is full of pharma companies, Red Labs, chemical companies. So because the primary focus in those days was there, but today it's all much bigger than that particular thing. So what we will do today is that we will try to run through this particular space: intellectual property rights, intangible assets, innovation, and ultimately we will come to the intellectual capital of an institution. Exactly the meaning of intellectual capital. Okay, with this particular background, shall we go ahead? Okay. Yeah, DSIR. DSIR. DST is running the incubators. DST is running the incubators. They provide funds to the incubators through a organization called TDB, Technology Development Board. So the money comes from the TDB of the DST to the incubator, and the incubator will give the money to the incubating. Right? So TEP. No, separate. They are parallel. Government, one doesn't accept other. Right? So TEP works independently, the TDB works independently, MSME works independently, Information Technology Department works independently, all are independent department. And the beauty of the government is that everyone talks, but no one respects the other one. So if we have been shortlisted by Department of Information Technology, when you come to the Department of Science and Technology, he'll start the entire exercise very fresh. And maybe it is the same expert committee. And the expert committee is also so smart. They say something, and the other area, depending on the chairman, so they may say something different. We are Indians, right? So we do in our way. Right? So we look at this particular thing. Right? My email is there, of course. Otherwise, also my email is always with you. So we'll be looking at intellectual property, innovation, intangible assets, intellectual capital. The purpose of trying to cover intangible asset is that, though it's not an institution subject, but there's a lot of confusion. It overlaps. Many people talk about intangible asset when they're talking about intellectual capital. So just to differentiate between these two, we'll look at the intangible asset. Otherwise, it's not really our cup of tea. Okay. So this is a bigger idea. Right. So intellectual property, this is something like 2004 figure probably. At a point of time, was 40 billion US dollars. So, and this is a subset of innovation. And innovation is a subset of intellectual capital. Intellectual capital is a subset of intangible assets. Right? This is what it is. So then we can understand how big is the intangible assets. Intangible assets today for a country like USA, something like 60 to 80% of the GDP is coming from the intangible assets. It's a large one. So for India, it will be less, but for those countries, it will be much bigger. Intangible asset is what is important from a GDP national perspective, because that's what is really important. We'll not go into the academics, but definitely academics also subject people are reading it. How is GDP calculated? How do we calculate GDP? What are the things that are taken and added to make a GDP? Sum total of all the finished transactions. So the intellectual property, patents, all this, they are supposed to be intermediate products. Intermediates are like a consumables, right? So in the main food, you do not say, well, puppet is a, so this is the consumable, is the intermediate product. Intermediate product is consumed in the finished product. To avoid the duplication, people take out the, you do not count for the intermediate product. So all the intellectual properties are really coming under the intermediate products. Right? Then suddenly said that this is the whole way of accounting. Right? USA, all those countries, they said the amount I am putting in the software. Everyone is talking about software, everyone is talking about internet. Is it really adding to the GDP? Calculations say it is adding to the GDP, but it's not counted. So there is a division of the GDP in the United States by legislation that we should take these factors into consideration. The investment we make in R&D, obviously, the investment we make in non-R&D. R&D is that USA is very strong in the entertainment business. So the entertainment business, is it something to be taken as a GDP? It is to be taken as GDP because it contributes, it creates employment, it's a big source there. So all the particular things are coming. So lot many things which were originally not taken as a GDP are now taken as a part of the GDP, and they say by doing this re-accounting, by taking intellectual part of the thing as one of the factors of GDP, the American GDP increased by something like a 3 trillion. That's what some other articles say. So we don't have the accounting methodology, but we can expect the same thing to be followed in India also, if not today, tomorrow. Right? So today we do not. So all the intellectual property we generate doesn't go into the GDP as per today's economic standard, but things are going to change. That's what is going to happen. So the intellectual property started with what you said, that trade-related intellectual property, TRIPS of WTO, right? That was again during the Narasimha period. So globalization started with TRIPS. Under this particular thing, there was an attempt to cover a large number of these issues across the globe, because these things are there much before. These are all very, very historically there for hundreds of years, but each nation has got its own way. So can there be something like a compatibility so that more and more similar things happening across the nations? That is the idea. So you cannot really force the government, but then you can make them similar. So that's what. So the TRIPS has come, and then the nations were encouraged to be TRIPS compliant. So like a model agreement. So if there is a model agreement, can you come nearer to that particular thing so that there is a certain amount of homogeneity? So these are the things that are covered under the TRIPS Act: patent, copyright, industrial design, trademark, trade secret, geographic indication, IC layout. Some of it, what is relevant for a technical institution, we'll try to cover. So where exactly these things take place? An expression of idea is a copyright. Whatever the faculty writes is a copyright. All your books, everything. And what the thesis of a student is a copyright. Right? Everything you express, apart from the books and literaries and poems and songs, all this particular thing is a expression, is a copyright. Patent is something related to the innovation and invention. So it is, we'll discuss more about the patenting because that's one of the biggest subject area. Trademark is something which is identifying the quality. So we say this is coming from Aquafina. That means we say, okay, this is a company belonging to Pepsi, guys, so the quality is better. So you associate something with this particular name, mostly quality. So that's why it is a association. That's what a trademark. Design. This design is not a what is the traditional design you have taught. This is a design under the Design Act is what about appearance, the physical part of it. The shape is covered under the Industrial Design Act under this intellectual property. The shape, what is visible to the naked eye. The appearance is what is covering, not the inside part of it. That goes under the patent. Okay. Then we have the trade secret is confidential. Secret is secret, so it's a confidential part of it. Patent some of the basic thing is that it's a negative right. Why do we say it is a negative right? The patenting is required to stop you from doing. When I say I got a patent, I have a right to stop you from doing on the particular subject area. That's why it's a negative right. Is it a positive right? Because I have got a patent, can I start manufacturing it? No. It depends on the case. Because depending on the innovation, depending on the claim, everything does not see that I may have a patent doesn't mean I'll be eligible to produce the product, because there are so many other things are there, ifs and buts are there. Right? So it's a negative right rather than a positive right. And I do not need a patent to produce something. If I got idea, and as long as this is not patent protected by other people, none of you are protected on this particular thing, and I got idea, I can go and sell the product anywhere in the market. I can make the product as long as others do not have. It is a negative right rather than a positive right. So it is then it is the protection to the innovator, and 20 years is the life for the patent. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. 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 Ah, it is the documentation. If let us say that this is a 2013 December today, you start manufacturing today, and at the time you are not aware of any other patent which is in the, you made your genuine effort to find out whether anyone has got a right on this particular thing. You made a genuine effort which is a documented genuine effort, right? And then 2014, someone makes an application for a patent, right? Even if he gets a patent, you have a right to get it revoked. Documentation. Thing is all documentation. Suppose it just happened that you made one product, right? And you could sell only one single product. Unfortunately, that means I am talking about not a successful case. You have made a product, you have sold to one product, two product, three product. It's not really giving money. Then it's a you give it up. Then you do some other thing. You close the factory, you close the unit, you burn the documentation, and those products which have been there in the market, those people also, they said this is not a continuing business. There's no document anywhere, right? So if there is no document, obviously you do not exist. In the virtual world, you do not exist. When people search for information, you do not exist, right? So it should be something searchable information. A larger number of companies do this particular thing. This is something equivalent to our open source. Anything you publish, we can say common property to the entire world, right? So no one can take a patent on this particular thing. Your intention that others commercially do not exploit it also take, like open source. Anything that is published becomes a open to the public. It becomes a public property. No one can appropriate subsequently. So larger number of companies do this particular thing. They say research always generates a lot of, right? Everything you don't want to protect, right? Yeah. There is a time limit. Sit there. So otherwise, after that, no. And that's for the academics, because especially if you are not academic, then even the 12 months may not be eligible for people who are outside, right? So basically, publish is open. The moment you publish it, becomes an open document. Anything that is open is something which is a knowledge known to the public. Right? So you cannot read it. A larger number of companies do this particular thing. They say, what do I do with this particular amount of knowledge and generating? Right? I don't want to make use of it. I cannot make use of it. Let us take. IBM is working in several areas. Then IBM says, this particular knowledge, I can take it to the market, but then what is the revenue which I'll get it? I'll get 20 crores. A 20 crore business doesn't attract IBM. Right? They have their own yardstick. They said, unless this is hang so and so minimum turnover, this is number 1, 2, and this is something which I'll build us upon, I'll not touch it. So a larger number of patentable ideas, knowledge, research is not really exploited by the commercial companies. Right? So then the question is, what do I do? If you read the papers, then if you see donation, right? Apart from publishing it, working open, they donate to the academic institutions. Right? They say, this is the 1,000 portfolio of the patents which I am not exploiting. because I have no intention. I will donate it to the academic institutions who are the neighboring colleges. Right? Donation is another way of doing it. Again, that making it public, and so anything published becomes. Okay. So patent rights are something like a. This is coming under what you say intangible assets. Intangible asset means something which is not really visible. Tangible assets is that these are all tangible. The chair and this particular thing, these are all tangible assets. So traditionally, the Property Act covered about the tangible assets. Your land, your building, your car. These are a tangible assets. There is a rule book which says that you are the owner. No one can take your property. All this sort of thing. So intangible assets also moved in the similar direction. So that means this also is a bundle of rights. You can sell it, you can buy it, you can license it, you can inherit it with the process. You can abandon that particular thing. Right? And it can be revoked. Revoked means it can be cancelled. That will get more details of it. I got a patent. Patent is not a, when I say I got a patent, that means a particular official in government, a patent office has given me a approval saying that your patent is registered. After all the process has been taken care, your patent is registered. We say we have received a patent. So when we, from our perspective, we say we got a patent. We received a patent. When I say we received a patent, he is not endorsing your claims. The officials are not endorsing your claims. Your patent has got some ABCD claims. They are not endorsing your claim. They said after the due diligence process, your patent, there is no objection. Even objection has been overruled. So your patent is given. Right? So the revocation takes place by the, when there is infringement, someone can go to the court at any point of time and say that this is not a patent, it's not a workable patent, this is something invocable patent, this is infringing other property. There are so many cases are there. So the patent is genuine only when a dispute arises. Till the time it's a question of benefit of doubt given to the patenting owner. It's a benefit of doubt. So only when there is a dispute, the court will take a decision. Okay, Apple, Samsung, who owns what? Apple believed that all their patents are genuine, original. Samsung believed all their patents are genuine, original. But when the court decided, they said many other Samsung patents are not original. They have been inspired, copied, blah, blah, by Apple. Then they said, these are all revoked. So naturally, you start paying compensation to the Apple who are the original or this particular thing. Right? Till a dispute comes, it's a question of benefit or doubt. Dispute settlement in a legal authority is the proof. Yes, you are the real owner. So it's like a fighting. Right? Only when you go and play in a match, you'll be knowing how strong you are. Right? If there is no match, and family will always say you're a great ball player, you're a great player. Papa, mommy will always say that you're a great boy, you're a great girl. Right? So unless you have a competition, you'll not be able to benchmark. So this is what is the competition. Right? You have to face the battle. Then only you know what you have got is genuine or not genuine. And obviously, defending and defending is all part of the infringement part of it. Okay. So, yeah, please. How easy it is to defend your patents? Okay. You have a patent in India. Okay. And I am based in India. And I bring a suit saying that you are infringing my patent. So you are hiring a lawyer. I am also hiring a lawyer. Both are in India. Doesn't cost money. 1 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees. It's manageable, depending on the patent what. But suppose, unfortunately, you have a patent, you are an Indian, or you are a company which is based in India, okay, and your patent has got a market in USA. I am in USA. I bring out infringement act against you in USA. Then you are gone. The patent under fee, they charge something like a $500 to $800 per hour. Then you can understand. So, if you read the case, Indian market, all these Chinese products. I know. Original I'm just copying it. Is it up to the Indian law? So, I mean, okay. You have got a patent in USA. One case is that in your countries you also registered in India. Obviously, you have right in wherever you register, you have right. And the second case, which is very common, is that you have got a patent in USA and India is the insignificant market. You don't want to get into the muddle of registering in US. You are not registered in India. But I am a guy in India, and knowingly, unknowingly, I start manufacturing something which is nearer infringing, right? Then you have got two choices. You keep quiet. Knowingly, if you keep quiet, that means you are exceeded. Okay. So if you want to object, you have always a right to object. In that, this patent, it becomes a public property. In India, it's a public property because this is not patented in India, but it's patented in USA. But somewhere it is patented, and other places where it's not patented, it becomes a public property. So it's a publicly known information. Since it's a publicly known, I cannot get a patent. So without a patent, can I manufacture the product? Yes. Then the question, third question will be, is the patent is applicable in USA? In India, the patent is not registered. I will not get a patent, obviously. At the same time, I manufacture the product. Then what has happened? As long as you are keeping quiet, I have no problem. Right? If your market is expanding, then obviously you are going to face a music, and then your offer to sell. Now, from offer to sell is an offense in those countries. And more important, participation in the exhibition. Now the latest is the participation in the exhibition. All the engineering product companies, where do they go for exhibition? Watches, you go to Switzerland, right? You heard about the Titan case. Titan is the watch company. So they said this is the design infringement of the Swiss design. So India things are going very well, no problem. But the moment they went and participated in the exhibition, first the police came and then locked them up. Saying that you are infringing the registered designs in Switzerland. Same thing happened in Hanover, German machine tools people. So all the people, when you are going for exhibition, you have a problem. You are advertising in a international journal again, because anyone can read the journal. Now the third more thing which is very ambiguous, what happens in the digital medium. If the Google, you go for a Google advertisement and he puts it the advertisement and it's a virtual world, so anyone can, again you are infringing. So it is the market size which really attract the infringers. If the market size is very small, 2 lakh rupees is the big market and the entire profitability is 5%, no one bothers about it too. But you are talking a big potentially also. So it's a cascading effect. Suppose if you are talking something like about wearable technology, today wearable technology, practically the Indian market is zero. But people are assuming this wearable technology will be something like $1 billion market in USA. So those people will be watching out to you because this is the potential revenue streams. Right? So they would like to protect their interest commercially to ensure that potential revenue streams are not really impacted upon. So it's all money. It's the commercial benefit which are likely to come out of this particular thing, which will come. And also, if you have an arrangement here, if you got a dealer or the partner here, he would always insist, no, you must protect your rights in my country. Otherwise, what is the point of having a partnership with you? Because so many people are copying everywhere, right? So this is what I'm saying. So the partners, the trade partners would demand for you to defend your intellectual property. It cannot be. That's what we say, prior art will come to the particular thing. That is what is the legal word. That word we use it. So the condition for giving a patent is that novelty, non-obvious, capable of industrial application. Apart from that, there is a long list of negative things. These are the negative items which are not patentable in India. So negative items will be like that. Atomic energy cannot be patented. Animals, human beings, clerical, many things cannot be patented. So you have a long list of not patentable items, negative list. So apart from the negative list, this is what are the positive conditions for getting a patent in India. We'll just look at this particular. This novelty. What is the meaning of a novelty? Right? Novelty means new. Right? When I say new with respect to the existing, with respect to the known as existing. Right? That what is known, what is existing is called prior art. Right? So prior art means everything the world knows. And may not be knowledgeable. Anywhere in anyone in the world knows about this thing is a prior art. So you applied for a patent in USA, and you got you have not applied for a patent in India. But the day you applied for a patent in USA, it is published. After that, it becomes a part of the prior art. So then I am supposed to be knowing about it. So since I am knowing about it, I cannot get a patent in India. So the prior art is universal. So anywhere in the world, right? So you're working with that is a Japanese partner. Your IIT has got a Japanese as a collaborator, and he brings out a paper in Japanese language, right? And he had no access, he never read the particular paper which is in Japanese language, but still it is a part of the prior art because you are supposed to be knowing all this particular thing, right? So anyone has got something which is worked upon, which is published, which is patented, is a prior art. Prior art search is the most important part of it, right? Prior art means everything that has been published, presented, disclosed to the public. And the day you apply for a patent, it becomes a data priority. So these are connected words. Prior art, data priority are the connected words. So I apply for a patent today, 10th of December 2013. Okay? And I am making a reasonable assumption after making a lot of due diligence then that this particular novelty or the newness or the innovation in my patent application is something no one has done anywhere in the world. And then if that is established, that my data priority is today. Tomorrow, you make an application anywhere in the world. Right? My application, my patent application will become public after something like 8 months, 18 months, or 9 months, depending on protocol. Right? Let us assume the worst case it becomes known to the public after 18 months. Right? I applied for a patent, which is with the government of India, right? And it becomes a public document only after 18 months. You are not knowing about my application. Obviously, you will some other person. Maybe it is the same country. You are on a neighbor. Let us say your two classmates are there. So you apply for something different next day. Tomorrow you are going to apply. When you applied, you are not knowing that I applied for something. You will come to know about it after some time. Still, I get the patent. You don't get the patent because you are supposed to have been influenced by the or taken advantage of the prior art. Prior art is something known to the public before the patent. So this is what we say submarine patent. The patents not applied but not disclosed. They are what we say submarine. And these patents really become the surprise elements. When you assume that everything is going very well, then suddenly it surfaces. Then obviously you will be shocked. But researchers generally are not surprised because all the researchers know that research at any point of time is done by several people, and nowhere in the world one researcher works on one thing. So research is a common field for a couple of people generally. So you are knowing generally people know who is working in this particular sphere. So if you know the 4 people are working in the same sphere, and then you are going to track them. If you want to have a very valuable, commercially valuable protected patent, then you are going to track their work continuously, saying that what are these people doing after publication. You attend their seminar, blah, blah, papers, you are going to keep a track of their work. Right? So now you know why the people go for the seminars. Right? So the faculty, the professors go for seminars not only to know, but to know that what is going to do with the particular knowledge subsequently. You should know what others are doing in your own field. That's why this all happens, right? So, and many times it's very common that when 2 faculty is working, right, ours becomes unprotected, theirs becomes protected. Let us take the case. Both of you working, and then you say that the future results will be shared by us. So the publication or the patent, what are the particular thing. But before he's talking to you, he already got a patent. He already applied for a patent, right? So all the publications generally shares with you, but patent applied is not in his hands. It is by his institution takes the right to apply for the patent. He probably may not be knowing also whether the institution has gone ahead or not gone ahead, because his job is to disclose to the institution, say that this is what I think. Institution will take a right, do or not, do not do. So this particular professor doesn't really know what is happening to his own thing, right? So because as a matter of routine, he goes on disclosing the thing. Disclosure is given to the institution all the time, right? So then suddenly when he start working, it becomes known he has applied for a patent. His institute applied for a patent, right? And whereas you have not applied for a patent, you are waiting for the result of the giant work. Then the giant work, if it's a product of his patent, he gets what the Indian faculty obviously becomes a prior art. For him, it is becomes a there is a possibility of getting a add-on patent, because when I am doing something today, and if I next time when I do this particular thing, the prior art is my own work. I refer to my own patent as the earlier patent, like your paper citation. In a paper citation, if you cite your own paper, that means your strength is there. So the patent, my citation of the earlier patent is my own patent. Then obviously there is a chance it becomes added. He becomes stronger. Right? So, these are certain issues that come because the prior art is a bit of a fuzzy element is there in the prior art, knowing the prior art part of it. What is data priority is important because when there is a fight, when there is a conflict, you are going to establish, I have the priority date, right? So the data priority is most important. That's why people rush to submit a patent is because to get a data priority. Right? So that's one. So then we'll see that you have got a right to submit a complete specifications or a preliminary provisional specification. People rush before completing research, before doing the prototyping, before doing a commercial application. They rush to patent because data priority is important. Right? And there is a way of improving. Yeah. No, it's your own. It's your own patent. You are the original owner. No, he'll not be. The modification has to be that we come to the second step, innovative step. So is it something which is logical, that will come to the particular thing. The inventive step is what is a non-obvious. That is, we'll come to the, we'll not jump the line, but we'll answer the particular thing. That is, he has made a patent, he has got a product, he has got the idea, you improved upon it. That improvement, is it obvious, non-obvious? At that question. And that's one of the most debated, questionable aspect of it. It should be non-obvious for you to prove it is some inventive. Right? We'll discuss. How do we really justify it is non-obvious? Okay. Now let us see. The priority is what we say. This is a global, but then really the patent examiner is the one who is going to look into the patent. What are he cannot really go around the world and try to read everything. So he basically will make a digital search. He'll make a digital search. He'll make a digital search in the European Patent Office, WPO Patent Office, US Patent, Japanese Patent Office, Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, and all this. He'll make a digital search. When he makes a digital search, he's not able to locate anything. Then he makes an assumption. There is no prior art. Right? Okay. So we got one of the very celebrated case of a haldi. Right? All of you know haldi, turmeric powder. Right? So there is a person who has applied for a patent in USA in that if there is a non-surgical wound and I take a turmeric powder, haldi, applied here and simultaneously take a part of it and swallow it, it cures. And then the USA patent attorney, he made a digital search. Obviously nothing is found because haldi, all this thing are not really US part of it. So their digital search did not tell anything. So he got a patent. And then the Indians got very incensed. They got very angry, saying that everyone knows about haldi in India, and haldi's antiseptic properties are so well known. They said everyone in India knows about this particular thing. It is obvious to all of us. But to say it's obvious to all of us is not proving the point. It's a part of the prior art. So then the question came, CSA, then they said someone has to prove. So the patent, the legal fees, it's very expensive. How do you really prove that this is a part of the prior art? Then the US patent attorney says, if you say it's known, then you show me the document. Show me the document. So then the CSIR as a national body, they took a lot of time and pain to find out where exactly the reference made. Everyone knows about the thing. Everyone knows it from where. Grandfather, grandmother, mummy, papa. It's a family information. It's not really documented. No one has read anything. Then they said in good old days, in the Pali script, there is a mention about that. In Sanskrit script, it is mentioned that particular thing. So if it is mentioned in Pali Sanskrit, then you have to get it authentically English translated, and that should be a published document. It's not something like a written, inherited. Your father is writing down on a piece of paper and giving to me, not publishing it becomes a secret. That coming under the trade secret. It's not coming under the Patent Act. Patent Act is a published information. So if that particular thing in Pali was published, at least 2 copies were made and given to the public, right, to the Raja and other people, that because, so these people have discovered those particular ancient scriptures, translated in English and said, this is known to India long time back, this is the proof of it. Then the US patent authority, they removed the particular patent, they invalidated the patent. So prior art is this is what it is. Digital search will always be, they get a limited time, and within the limited time, it's not so easy to know everything. So digital search, you can reasonably assume that you are going to make a digital search about the due diligence before you make a patent application, and your digital search and his digital search will not be very significantly different. So generally, if you say that I have made a due diligence and I have searched the patents which are closer to me and mine is different from the particular thing, you first checklist you also, because he has got the same access like you have got. Everything is available in the digital space, right? And we'll come to the other one, the PCT, the Patent Cooperation Treaty. The requirement is more specific. We will discuss that separately. This is the legal definition by the Patent Act. Invention is, we generally talk about a product and process because technical reason, but it's involving an inventive step and capable of decision. Now, inventive step is what is the thing where non-obviousness comes. Right? What is the definition? It's a feature of invention that involves technical advances as compared to the existing knowledge and having academic significance that makes invention non-obvious. Last part of it, invention not obvious to a person skilled in the art. Right? So, if you have got something, you have seen a product and you come with improvement, then the question comes, is it obvious? So, the question is that obvious to whom? Right? It's not obvious to a person skilled in the art. Right? I am not a person in the same area. Right? To me, everything is new. Right? But the person who is working in that particular area, for him, is it new? So, obviousness is to a person skilled in the art. So, if the faculty is working in chemical department, the other person who is in the chemical department, for him, it's not obvious. That means it is novelty is established. The non-obviousness is established, right? So, not a layman. It's not comparison with a layman. So, this is one of the very critical aspects in that how do I say in the patent document we will be referring to the thing. In a patent document, you are going to say my patent is got some application A, application B, application C. I mean, ultimately, how many applications you are going to write down? You'll write 10, 20, 200. You cannot write everything that is possible, right? So, I cannot say my you will have blue color, my will have gray color, my will have white color, will have so much color. And someone a white color, if they bring it, it is obvious, right? I'll take it becomes obvious because though I have not really put in the paper, but if I bring something in the blue, I can also bring it a white color. So that's what is the obviousness. So the obvious thing is what is the tricky part of it. To prove it's not obvious, you have to say there is an inventive step. To say there is an inventive step, then you have to have a documentation which is coming under your lab protocols, right? So you are going to say this is the patent and this is the process explained in the patent. This has got so and so limitations. And I have started working on this particular patent in my research laboratory by a process of experimentation, and this is the lab experiments I had done over a period of time with a documentary proof. So, by doing these experiments, I have overcome the limitations which otherwise existed in the existing patent. They are significant. We have got a commercial potential, right? So, that is the existing one has got limitations. You have overcome the limitation by doing a significant research work. And third, this particular additionality has got some commercial application, industry application. When I say commercial industry application, then you can justify say that yours is a different from the existing. So you are going to refer to the existing patent and say this is the patent which is the closest to you, but he has not thought of this particular thing. He has thought of in doing it in a particular way, and this particular way is leading to so and so inefficiencies. So I have overcome the inhibitions, limitations by doing something different. So the question comes that the original patent that person who has got the patent, he would not have thought of it because it's not obvious to him. It's non-obvious to him also. It's something which is beyond. He thought in a particular way, but you are able to think differently. So the proving is on the new patent owner. In that yes, I had done something significantly, technically important. The totally it's a jargon is there, right? Right? The prediction, obviousness, they are all very subjective words, but it is the totality you are going to look at it. Because we will come to the claims part of it. Not really claims, you are talking about innovation, right? Invention. I think this is explained. But this is all that jargon part of the legal part of it. we have got a long list of negative things which are not patentable in India, right? Scientific principles, abstract theory, discovery, they are not patentable, they are already there. And this is what is the highly controversial part of it. People say it is the strength of Indian patent, and the MNCs are very happy. If you look at the patent, this is coming under the pharma. In pharma, there is something called efficacy, right? So the companies will try to improve the life of the patent by coming with a, that's what I say, greening of the patent. Greening of the patent means you want to come with a new version of the patent, saying that this is the improvement, right? So the patent companies, all the pharma companies will try to extend the life of the patent, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years later, they'll come with a new one all the time. So that's the greening of the patent. So they always say this I come with something different, which is non-obvious, which is going to have an impact. So the impact is generally that efficacy is one of the most things they said. So Indian rule, the rules of the efficacy is more stringent than any other person. So what is accepted as efficacy in USA is not acceptable in India. India is one of the toughest. So multinationals, if you see all the controversy that are surrounding about the Indian pharma versus the multinational pharma, our recent, this particular cases also have gone to the Supreme Court. This is supposed to be one which is bothering them, because what we have done in India has done, all other countries, Brazil, South Africa, everyone is following Indian examples, right? So this is what it is. Enhancement of a known efficiency, I think the chemical people will understand. So this is all about the and mere use of a known process machine operator, unless such a known process is a new product implies at least one new reactant, is not patentable. This is one of the clearly worded Indian Patent Act, which is greatly appreciated, saying that many of the drugs extensions cannot be patented in India, which is very liberally patentable. So if you are a multinational company, you are unhappy. If you are an Indian company, you are happy about this patent.
So patent law prevents this ever being
Indian patent law.
Indian patent law. So that same pharma company can have a US patent on the same versions of
Yes.
the drug, but that patent will not be valid.
That's
Indian pharma manufacturer can pick up that molecule and manufacture.
That's what they say, that we spend a lot of money in the research to come with a better ingredient, better blah blah blah, so that we come with a better drug. And the Indian companies, they do not do all this particular thing because the court is supporting them, and they simply copy it, right? And they say what is the allegation, saying that the copycats are benefiting from our original research. That is what the multinationals perspective.
So the Indian manufacturer can sell only in India, or can he take his product to US?
No. He can sell only in India. He cannot offer to the WTO, WHO, or any of these agencies in outside the country also. That discussion has come. Suppose he has got a patent in India. Let us talk about that patent drug extension. In India, they said nothing doing is not a efficacy, so you were not accepting that sort of thing. So in Indian companies start manufacturing this thing. Okay. This becomes a generic product. Okay. Now in India he works, in USA he works. Now you want to export to South Africa. Then what is going to happen? Okay. It depends on the clout of the particular company, right? South Africa, Brazil, those countries, again, they are very strong. They have similar patent laws like India. So they try to be very supportive of the Indian part of it, because they are also thinking similarly. They want to develop the industry. But suppose you go to a place where the industry is not important. You want to go to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia doesn't have industry. They don't care for industry. What is going to happen there? Right? They most likely will go by the US definition, because US has got a bigger clout on Saudi Arabia. And then they say, okay, you are offered to sell it in Saudi Arabia to an Indian worker. So Indian worker from Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad, he picks up a packet and 40 capsules, he goes to Saudi Arabia and is caught there. He is punishable. Right? So when you are going outside the country, the question comes, neutral country, third countries, which law they follow depends on what. Right?
So even if I carry, say, my generic medicine to US military, I will be punishable by that.
You have to have a prescription, and you have to prove it is a generic one for personal consumption. And if you are taking a tablet strip, no one is bothered. Suppose if you are going for 6 months, and let us say you are a student, and you are going for a 2-year study there, and you do not plan to come to India for between the 2 years, you want to take the medicine for 2 years. So if you take 2 years medicine, it will be, and then the problem comes, who is going to prescribe 2 years? No one prescribes for 2 years. Yes, not supposed to be. So that's a big problem comes. So they have a right to question you, and most likely you will be stopped at the customs there. You are trading in the infringing goods, causing harm to the US economy. Right? These are highly. Right? So the subsequent part of Islam, if you are passing through a place, destination. So most of the places, if you are sailing by ship, and the ship will not go to California, right? It passes through a port of convenience, like Europe, Netherlands, Amsterdam. If you are passing through a place, you are not dispatching anything there. Then is it a friend? As per the European law, that's what the India and Europe are trying to have a what we say a, a free trade agreement. The one which is bothering India is this particular thing. As per the current European law, that is, if they suspect this is infringing the transit countries or the end countries anywhere, they can seize it. Right? So in India, its transit is not there. Customs can seize something which is infringing in India. The final destination rules are more or less. But in transit, it's a European specialty, right? So Indians are not happy with this particular thing. So they say that it's something because you are selling, let us say that horticulture, roses for Valentine's Day, right? You want to send to Paris, right? It's a blue color, beautiful rose you want to sell in Bangalore, right? Paris, and it goes to the Amsterdam, and that airport there it is reshipped, right? And then if they suspect this is a patented version under certain act are there, right? So then they'll seize the thing. They did seize it. A lot of this particular thing, pharma products are there, and roses, geezers, all this particular thing, agri products, they've been seized in Europe. In that you are going to infringe something. You are going to infringe something. So, which is a problem. So, leaving India, you have to be very cautious. But computer programs are coming under the, they are not patentable. They are coming under the, what is the category? They are all IP. Then copyright. So Indian law says computer program stored in a computer readable medium. That is what is the definition of a computer program. It's not patentable, but which works upon something. It is integrated with the hardware. You are embedded part of it, and it's working. There is a hardware which is working, doing something, and the program for the thing, a mission program or all this particular thing, is a patentable because the program itself is not important. You are not going to sell the program. This particular program is going to be doing some hard, physical, tangible work and embedded in a hardware. So that's coming under the. So, but ESA there is a different law. ESA this particular computer programs are patentable. In India they are copyrightable. So you have got a big fight.
So when you say the computer program is patentable, so the program is patentable, say line by line. So only if someone copies it line by line, word by word, only then it's a
copyright. Patent is for the entire novelty, the claims part of it. Copyright is for the entire document. All your whatever your computer program lines you draw, line it, all the entire line 200 pages is the 200 lines is the copyright protected, right? So, but it's a patent is not about the numbers or lines. It is about the claims. Complete claims.
So copyright is only about non-reproduction, not really non-use. Copyright I can use a copyrighted program. I cannot reproduce.
Academic, that's only for the academic liberty, not for others. Academic liberty is there.
No, for example, if there is a computer program, it's copyrighted. So can I apply it? Can I use it even for commercial?
No.
What is the difference between
patent? You have to have a claim on this particular thing. What is the function of this particular program? So you are claiming something new. We'll come to it. The claims are patented. When you say patent, the patent is for a claim. The claims have to be written clearly in it, and these claims are only enforced, not the rest of it. So it becomes a summary of your big thing. Where copyright is everything. Whatever you write it, 500 pages is your book. So you own the entire 500 pages, right? But someone reading it can be inspired. Then copyright is not a violation. Patent inspiration is a non-obvious. You get the point? All right? So if you are inspired by a patent, it comes under the obvious category, so you cannot patent it. But copyright, you are inspired. So that song is there, you accepted the song, you like the song, you write your own song, right, with the same theme, right? The girl is beautiful, you write the same girl is beautiful. Inspiration is acceptable under the copyright, but not under the patenting part of it. Claims are more difficult under the patenting part of it. And copyright is something which comes as a right to you. The moment you do something, you generate it, it's yours. You do not have to register it. Registration is to ensure that there is no problem in battles. Otherwise, it's yours the day you generate it. Patent, it has to be registered, it has to go through the formal process. Everything. The advantage of the patent is that inspiration is not having a room. When copyright inspiration is so it's circumventing the particular thing is much easier in copyright because you can write the same subject in a different way of this particular thing. You cannot make a copy. One-to-one copy you cannot make. The applications has to be made by obviously there has to be an innovator name has to be there, and then the patentee is the innovator, and there is an assignee is there. So all of you are working in institutions. So anything you submit will become a IITH property. So that's what the normal rule book says. So your name will be there, the inventor, and also the IITH will be there. So it will be there will be the assigned the patent. They can submit the application, or you can submit the application. Here are the patent. The patent life is the same, right? So 20 years is the patent life. So the 20 years, suppose if you are not there after 5 years, 15 years, the life of the patent exists, and there is some money coming out of the particular thing. So whoever is owning this particular thing, they get. It's inherited for the life of the particular patent. No, inheritance is different from the assignee. Assignee is that IIT Hyderabad is an institution which is a legal ownership because of the relationship you have got with the IIT. Inheritance, your son, your daughters, your wife, they are the inherited property. It becomes inherited property for them. Right? This is IIT is assigned property. It's assigned to them because as per a contract, you have to assign it to them. Convention application, no else come to the thing. There is a patent cooperation treaty. It started in Paris. So that is how do I respect each other's patent? That's what it started. There's nothing like international patent. There's only national patents. International patent doesn't exist. I have a patent here in Paris, and he's in America, he's in Japan. How do we respect each other? So this particular patent cooperation treaty has come to that if I apply in one place, is it possible for me to get patents in other places? Right? You cannot get a patent because I'm applying, but many of it can be protected in other places. So I apply in India, and then within 12 months I convert my application to a patent cooperation treaty PCT application. Then you name the convention countries. That is all those people that are signed the convention countries. Almost all are there. Then you say you are applying in India. You put USA as a one other country targeted designated country, and you put Germany as a designated country. You put China as a designated country. Right? You make a patent application, PCT application is submitted. Right? Then since you have submitted this particular thing, you are submitting the application today in India. So today is the 10th of December 2013. You have submitted the application. Right? Then you get a lot of time for patent of PCT. Probably submit in 2014. Okay? And there is a process which will ensure that there is a we'll say the type of examination, this type of thing. But 30 months you can expand it. So 2013. So practically 2016 onwards, you need not go for the national phase. Right? 2016 you decide. Right? Then by the time you are very clear, so you have got Indian patent and you know what is good about your patent, what is not good about your patent. So you have to go to the national phases of all these three countries. Then you have a choice. Then you say, okay, USA is a big market, I'll go for a USA market. But then you say Germany is not a big market, I'll not go for the Germany, I'll drop it. Okay. China, there's no point in going, they are going to copy it. So though you have a right in all the three countries, but you take a decision to go or not to go. That is what is a national phase of it. But if you decide to go, then your data priority is today. So let me put this way. So today is your data priority in India. We are planning to go for a national phase in 2015 in USA. Right? After doing a lot of process, blah, blah, blah. Right? And then anyone who is applying in between, they will be losing the battle if you are successful. Right? So the submarine part of it below the surface increases when you go for one country to the other country. The reverse is true. When you are applying for Indian patent, you are making a prior art search, and you are reasonably sure that you are not infringing. The examiner also is making a patent search. At the same time, neither he nor we are doing a examination of the patents which are non-published. So there are some patents which are in USA, there are patents in UK, there are patents in Germany. They are not published. Obviously, they are not accessible in a digital search medium. And they will be surfacing after some time. So then when you are ready for a national phase, then all these surprises will come. Say that in between 10 months back, 1 month back, 2 months back, so many things happen. Right? Who is the one who, the data priority will be established only when you go for a national phase. Then they'll say, by the time there is a data priority, is there anything which is known to the public and not known to the public. Right? So to protect the data priority, this entire PCT convention is helpful. You can go for a global patent in the sense that you can put as many names as you like it in your application as a designated countries, then shoot the application, then 24 to 36 months, that is some time frame is there. You can take a decision whether it's worth patenting and not worth patenting, because patenting abroad is very expensive. Something like a 5 lakhs per patent is going to cost you minimum. So is it worth applying at all? Is it not worth applying? Right? All this particular thing you are going to ask the question. Right? So PCT is a patent cooperation treaty, which India is a part of the patent cooperation treaty. Reason application is that when you make a patent application with a lot of claims, we'll be seeing it. Okay, generally it's supposed to be about one invention, but you tend to crowd, you try to talk too many things. And then the patent attorney or the examiner feels, okay, there is some substance, but simply you crowded the entire space. Then he probably will advise you, say that, okay, to go for a division, you break it up, like you do the prison. Same thing happened to the edition. You apply for the patent, then you say that somehow you are not really exact, you are not put all the claims. Many things which are obvious to you also, you said, okay, why should I write it? You didn't want to write it. So many things are there. So there will be advice to you in the process, in that, okay, you can divide the patent so that you really come to the crux of the patent, or you can add to the patent so that you get a substitution. Generally, this coming as a part of the process, either the patent attorney or the examiner, someone is going to advise you on this particular thing after the start of the process. So patent, normally 18 months is the time you apply for a patent, and it goes 18 months it becomes a public document. Okay. Now there is a provision saying that you want a early publication, and then they will go for early publication. So what is the advantage of early publication? If you go for early publication, the entire cycle will be reduced. Right? Instead of 18 months, you go to early publication, and then suppose they give you 4 months, then you are going to save 14 months. You want a patent very fast, people go for the early publication. This is the new provision which is there. There are 3 dates. Data priority, the date on which I am submitting the application. Publication of the application, that is second date. Patent is granted, right? Data priority gives me the priority, nothing more than that. It's not no legal right. It's a legal right to, it's a negative legal right. You can stop others from getting the patent. It's a negative right. But from the publication, you can start claiming the damages from the infringers, and infringer comes on subsequently. Let me put it better. Okay, my patent is published today. Okay, and I get the patent after 1 year. There is a process of objection, no objection. There is a process. Next step. I go to the infringement suit. I can levy only after I get the patent. Right? Next year, 2014 December, I go for a legal suit saying that you are infringing my patent. Right? But the damages is from the date of the publication, retrospective damages. Right? So then you say, oh, the retrospective damages are going to be very killing. So in this particular, between you are in the production, you are setting up a factory, you came with a production next year, and when my patent is received by me, then I see you are marketing the product. Okay? When my patent is published, you are not marketing the product, you are in the establishing a factory. But your damages are from the date of the publication. So then your damages are compensation for you killing and removing all the products in the market, and also the production setup. Right? You have a right to dismantle the existing production setup and close everything. Okay. It is a huge part of it. So we got one of the big battles. Of course, Apple and Samsung, all of you read this particular thing. The other well-known is the one which is a Kodak. Kodak is the camera one, no? The film camera persons, right? So before this particular digital cameras come, there is that auto. You take a film. What is the name of the company which takes instantaneous photography? Polaroid, right? Polaroid has revolutionized everything. They came with the instant photograph, right? And you can just take the photo within it. Kodak was the market leader. Then they wanted to get into the market. At the time, that's Polaroid was the big sale. So then they had a legal cell. Obviously, all these companies, they had a legal cell. There is a researcher, there is a patent attorney. So they looked at the patent and they said, this is the boundary walls of the patent. And without touching the boundary walls, can you come with a new patent? Then advisors come, you cannot really come with a totally new patent, but some gray areas are there. You can, little bit of a rounding is possible. So then they said, okay, the market is very huge. No one is buying ordinary cameras. They went ahead. They established a factory. They sold hundreds and thousands of the product. Okay. And then ultimately the court, this company has gone to the court saying that he is infringing. So when he has got infringement suit was won, all the cameras that were sold were called back. All the cameras in the distribution pipeline were taken and destroyed. The entire production was dismantled, plus damages. So it's, the company has collapsed. Kodak has not reverse surfaced again. So a patent infringement can be very severe, depending on the commercial revenues you are getting. Right? Provisional specification and the complete specification. Right? Many times you are not ready with the complete specification. Complete specification with the claims, but you have got an idea working on something. You have got some tentative idea. So can you make an application without a claims? It's possible under the provisional application, and most of the applications are coming under the provisional application, and then within 12 months you have to come with the complete specifications. So, but the data priority from the date you have put provisional specifications application. So that's to get the data priority. Many people are rush, and then so yeah, advantage and disadvantage. Advantage is that you get a data priority. Disadvantage, people know that you are working on the subject area, right? So, and you may not be able to come with a claim which is a supportable claim. Right? So both are accepted. Important is that provisional specification need not include a claim. Generally, they do not include the claim. When you say the specification, it means the complete specification. What is published is always complete specification. Patent document, whenever you say the patent document, whatever you search in the Google, everything is the complete specification, where everything has to be written, right? So what is covered? You have to cover the title, obviously, and abstract. The purpose of abstract is making a search engine. Generally, you do not want to read the entire document, right? The keyword search is going through the title and the abstract. When you make a patent search in the US and Google, all this thing, this is what is the keyword. So people try to camouflage, right? You want to ensure that the title is not indicative of your claim and the abstract is not indicative of the claim. So the patent attorney job is to redraft what the technical people are giving. So the famous joke says that when the researcher reads the patent document, it's not mine. He reads so differently. But the disadvantage is that the examiner also will get confused. This is what is the claim about. Right? But patent attorney will try to camouflage it. That's what his job. He'll try to camouflage it so that, and a search engine is not really traceable. That's what his job. He'll try to make it that way. Abstract is something which is like all of you are writing the paper abstract and very simple. So you prepare your document and give to the patent attorney and leave to him to do the mixing, camouflaging, and to the extent that possible. Claim is the most important part. Now, when I say patent is protected, patent is not protected, title is not protected, abstract is not protected, the specification is protected. You are going to write a claim. So this is the claim. So when I say my particular thing, this is a laser one, and then you are going to say what is the meaning of a claim. So this is the laser by using so and so technology, traveling so and so distance. This is the claim part of it. And the claims are what you think are the novelties. This is what is going to be novelty, non-inventive, these are all going to be assessed with respect to the claims. Okay. So making one claim, life is very easy, then obviousness will come. If you're making only a single claim and it's a very watertight claim, good, you'll get a patent. But then since you're not covered other claims, then anyone can come with a similar one. This is not obvious, he has not really explained, he has not thought of it. So in the patent, you'll have one main claim and you'll have many subordinate claims which are flowing from out of the main one. So, which is main flowing from the main one says, this also can be that way, this also is possible, that's also possible. He will have many subordinate claims or the dependable claims, what is dependent claims is what he calls. So, the first one obviously you have to write about the process. This is the claim, and this claim can be realized by doing ABC steps. in particular fashion. So it is something which anyone attempting to do the same thing should be able to achieve it. If we practice the same thing by following the same process, you are not able to get the same result, you can say this is patent is not valid. So the first claim, major claim has to be so elaborately written. So that is the advantage of a patent document. Patent document is a wonderful source of information because he has to explain everything. So when you read a patent document, you get the entire information, how to make the particular product and how to get the claim which is claimed there in the patent document. So for the public good, that's what is the purpose of a patent, and is a private good because the 20 years is the exclusive right. So the patent document claim is very elaborate claim, and when you read the patent document, all of you will be understanding it is a very elaborate document. Now, when can you oppose it? You can oppose it anytime. So after the publication, that grant, before giving the patent a grant, is granting the patent, anyone can, because this is published in government, we call it a gazetted notification. Anyone can read the document and say this is the patent document which are published. And if you feel this is not really what you think is the right thing. So people, how they oppose it? They oppose it on one category. Mostly they say it's a part of the prior art. It's already known. I have seen it in exhibition. I have read the paper about this particular thing. I have seen a product. People really claim it, saying that it's already known to the public. So it's a part of the prior art. That's one of the most common way. Then second is the people say it's obvious. Though it's not a part of it, it's very obvious. I also thought about the same thing. I discussed with my friends. So these are the two bases people really dispute this particular patent, and then patent, you can object to the patent. And after giving the patent also, you can oppose it for 12 months with respect to the patent authorities. In USA, earlier they didn't have the pre-grant opposition. Right? So that's why it's a speedier. The time is not there. So since in our case we publish the patent and then we invite the public to comment and we give a grace period. Right? And it takes time. And generally people do comment. So when people comment, you have to read the particular thing, you have to call them, you have to do everything with it. USA, now they are amending the particular thing. They didn't have the particular thing. They didn't have the pre-grant opposition. They have only post-grant opposition. So that's why they are able to reduce the time frame. After the 12 months, if you want to revoke, you can revoke the patent at any point of time. The 20 years is the lifetime. Anytime you are unhappy with this particular thing, you can go to the court. Anyone can go to the court and say this patent is not valid. Right? Generally, this happens when there is a claim. I put a infringement suit on you. Then you go to the court and say, I am putting infringement. My patent itself is not valid. That's what is the counterclaim. They said my patent is not valid because it's already there. Right? So when TVS and Bajaj, they talked about the TCS engine, what are the engine, they said the same thing. Bajaj said this is the patented. TVS said no. It's already there as a part of the prior art. Nothing new. Those countries in Japan have done it. Those countries in Germany have done it. But I think Bajaj won the case. So TVS lost certain motorcycle race competition between the TVS. So, but this is what is very common. If someone coming in infringement suit on you, you are going to fight back saying that your patent itself is not valid. So when your patent is not valid, where is the question of your infringing, asking me for the infringement damages? Very common. So the international patent application will be something very simple compared to ours only. If we submit international patent, that's what PCT application is what we call it. So after submitting the Indian application, within 12 months you get a time to submit a PCT application. You are going to make a modification and make a PCT application. Okay. And then you get what they say international preliminary examination. In about 22 months later, you get it. So the international search report. First you get an international search report, which is a part of the PCT. So they'll get a search report and say your due diligence is part of the common digital databases. These people, they have access to more databases than what ordinary person will have. So they'll search these databases also and say, is this something available? Is it a part of the prior art, not prior art? So that gives one more indication. Suppose, especially languages, right? So this goes to different countries and which are part of the PCT search bases are there. So international search report is better than what you carry to a Google search. Obviously, it has got more depth. So this is one other thing. So if then a search report says yes, there is a merit, it's not a priority, then you can ask for the international preliminary examination. This you have to pay money. Then someone will be assigned the job, he carry out a preliminary examination, saying that is it something that novelty, non-obvious, all this particular thing, are they valid in the international context? If that also is yes, then you can go ahead and go for the national phase. But these are not binding on the national. But I can get an international preliminary examination which is saying yes, You are not infringing anyone. There is no prior art, and it's very novel. But at the national phase, all those nations where I am subsequently approaching can reject it. So this is not binding. It's only sort of grading you to the direction. It's not binding on any nation. But this gives indication. Okay, there is a strength or no strength. Am I infringing? I am not infringing. Okay, now I think the patents is any clarifications, anything on the patent? Now we'll come to the copyright. Clear about the patents? Okay, right. So we'll come to the copyright. Copyright from the technical engineering perspective, what do we say? The copyright, the thesis copyright is always with the students. Generally, it's a part of institutional network. The thesis is with you, right? But the commercial part of it is always lasting with the institution, right? And the institution will always have the right to use the particular, either the thesis or a paper. The right of the institution to use it for the research purpose is inherent. Everywhere. So recently we had one copyright violation case. I think it's a Delhi University. The professor, he makes a notes and gives to the class students, right? So the notes are made copies and how he made the note. He has taken 4 pages from this book, 7 pages from the book. You know, you make a compilation from the various chapters. So he made a compilation from the various chapters from various multiple books, and then he made a note, and that notes is circulated to all the students, which he has been doing for a number of years. One of the now, is it infringing? The publishers have gone to the court saying this is infringing. The publisher says he is infringing. Infringing or not infringing? He have a right there. So he has put the chapters. He has taken the chapters. Generally, it happens. No, some subject this other is good in the particular chapter. This subject. So he has written more or less several more than the normally accepted. They said it's academic freedom is there for the faculty. Faculty can always make a compilation for himself. Nothing wrong with that. But is it commercially? If he's not charging for that thing, there's no commercial exploitation. Then it is a violation. I think there is a dispute on this particular thing. The commercial part of it is that
Because also he is not commercially.
he is not charging. He is not charging.
Commercially is losing. The other things are commercial.
That's what they said. He is not charging. He is giving free. But the other guy is giving opportunity lost for him because the books are people are not buying the books. They no need to buy the books. Right? So, in India, but still our courts have favorably viewed our things, which was disputed by the publishers. So that Indian courts are really too sympathetic to the academic community compared to the. This is one of the bigly debated. But subsequently, it may not be enforceable. The refinement is going to come. No, it's a common. You have to take a permission. Even when you buy something, free or purchase, still you have to give a reference. Reference has to be given. The source has to be given. So it's a free or paid, but you have to give a reference all the time. But this may not be, because this is one of the very things. Circulation is particular thing. Libraries are covered under a separate act. Right? Because, but you are not supposed to make a copy of the book, no? Because photocopying is not allowed. You cannot make a photocopy of anything. You cannot make a photocopy. Academic, this is one other thing which is again.
Most of the 18 libraries have photocopy.
I know. They got the particular thing. It's not really.
Actually, you go there.
I fully agree with you. Legally, it's not valid. Legally, nothing is valid. You cannot copy a software on your computer. You can, unless this software is specifically is a campus for so and so loading everything. Still, you cannot do anything. You cannot play the songs without copyright in the public. So the guy who is playing the songs in a hotel, right? Like I say, you want to play the songs in your hostel, right? So stream it in all the 200 rooms. It's a copyright violation because the song is purchased by you for your private pleasure, not for playing to the public, right? So, and your programs on a public day or in some of the anniversary days, you make a program. You make a dance program, then you shoot the particular thing. So he has got a copyright. That's why if you see anything on YouTube, there is something with there. Then after that, he'll remove everything. And the owner will say, no, it's a copyrightable one because the performances are a copyrightable under him. So he has got a right. The guy who is performing has got a right. So if you do something, most of us do it without permission. We'll shoot something and put it. So he objected, then the asylum is taken because we have no copyright on this particular thing. So public performance are copyright protected. Everything is a copyright protected. Nothing is free in this world. Everything is protected under some law. You are supposed to take care of this particular thing. Right? But copyright is a criminal offense. That is the difference. Patent is not a criminal offense. Patenting is a civil offense. There will be penalties which are in terms of rupees. Copyright is a criminal offense. So when Microsoft, Oracle and the higher guys, they find someone using the software, they will go to the police. That's why the police come into the picture and they'll be imprisoned. And you hear the cases very often because it's a criminal offense. Copyright, criminal offense. All these are covered under the things. So one of the discussion has come with the movie songs. Movie songs are composed. There is the lyrics, there is a music, and there is a instrumentation, and there is a songwriter, there is a singer, and there is a producer. Everyone is assigning the rights to the producer, generally speaking. Right? So after it's assigned, then who has got a right? After a particular period is there, if it's a reproduction, like yes, in Janjeer made in Hindi. Right? So all the rights of the Janjeer film, songs, title, everything has gone to the producer. Then the same producer, he wants to make the same movie in Telugu. Right? So that songwriter, the lyrics writer, he has gone to the court saying that my rights I assigned for the Hindi version. I am not assigned the rights for a dubbed one, which is he is not writing in Telugu. He says the dubbed translation is still my original thing is there. Inspired is not hang Janjeer. You can always have similar dialogues. I am going to kill you, all this particular thing. But a true translation is the original one. So he has got a couple of crores money before the Janjeer is released. Otherwise, he says the courts are going to give him the stay order. Unfortunately, he got money, the producer lost money at a place. These are the. We'll look at only this particular thing. Computer program and digital databases, these two are covered under the copyright. Okay? And business methods. In India, business methods are not patentable. So all the so-called business plan competitions, business innovations, they are not coming under anything in India. Okay? But in USA, they are all patentable. So today there is a huge discussion. Shall we continue patenting those business methods or shall we drop it? Business methods say that Amazon has got a business method patent which says that if I go and place an order for a book there, the book will be delivered to you by a so-and-so process. Right? This is the business innovation. Right? All the business innovations very strong in USA and not patentable in India. Now question comes, all the people who are working in a business innovations in India, you want to protect your right, what will you do? In India, they are not protectable. So obviously, you are going to make an application in USA. Right? E-commerce guys, all the people working in e-commerce, obviously, it's nothing is protectable in India, but you protectable in USA. You are going to make application for the USA protection, not for Indian protection. So that's one of the very big difference between India and that. And many things also, we got, I think, biomedical students also here. Am I right? So biomedical, the organs, natural human beings are not patentable anywhere in the world. Natural animals also not patentable. But the cloning is not really, there is a dispute on the particular thing. The cloned versions are not patentable in India. Cloned versions are patentable in many countries, including the USA. So you want to use a animal, genetically modified animal as a donor for the various organs. That's what I understand the current thinking, right? All are patentable in USA, not patentable in India. So the biomedical students and the faculty working in IIT, they have a problem. You want to experiment with you come with your own genetically modified liver. And unfortunately in India you cannot patent it. But outside the country it's a patentable particular thing. So here a lot of yeah. It's a biotechnology. It's not that it's the claim or the worm, the particular thing is coming the seed sac. We have got a separate one, but which is not really difficult. We have got a seed reproduction is coming in the seed reproduction category. So since seed reproduction, there is a farm's right there. There is not a farmer right is there and there's inventor right. So the farmer right, we are more toward the farmer right rather than the inventor right. But that particular BT Cotton was given as the inventor right. But ours is very limited. More and more we move toward the farmer side rather than the innovator side. Bio technology side, this is the big problem. Right? So genetic modifications, we have got problem. We do not get DNA molecule, DNA cycle, nothing is patentable in India. Right? Surgical practices are not patentable in India, but a large number of surgical practices are patentable in USA. Right? So, algorithm itself is not patentable. Algorithm which is embedded in a computer program, which is working on a hardware, is patentable. So, system that way we will see it. But a simple algorithm itself is patentable. Right? Microorganism is patentable in India, also patentable outside. Lot of people. So you have a lot of things which are not patentable in India, but patentable outside India. Computer programs and digital databases are patentable in India under the copyright. Computer program. So there is a copyright, which means the same thing. All of you are familiar with it, right? And the database also is protectable under the Copyright Act. So there is a if you are a company like IBM, Microsoft, and you have got a R&D company here, all these people, they have got R&D centers here, then generate a computer program. Then the question comes, what do you do? Go for a patent, I go for a copyright, which is a better option. Some theory, I mean, many people are talking differently. They say that you go for a patent if some competitor is very nearby. Someone is going to catch you up. They are very nearby. Then you go for a patent because inspiration, obviousness will protect you for a very number of days. So otherwise, the first preference is to go for a copyright. Patent only when there is someone who is running behind you. If no one running behind you, they say that because the patenting is an open document. The moment you patent, you are going to publish everything. So everything you are going to publish, the source code, everything you have to publish, everything is published. So it becomes something easily imitable to some extent. So whether do that or this, in India, copyright obviously you have no choice, but USA, a large number of people go for a patent. Much bigger. I think some 50 years. It's a long one. The industrial design, which is coming under the Act, is not really the design which we do, the machine design. It's not a component design. It's not the functional design. It's a non-functional design, which is the aesthetic part of it. What appeals to the naked eye, right? So the inside part of it is all coming under the patent. Okay? The code is all coming under the copyright. Right? The names are coming under the trademark. But the shapes, which are non-functional, this particular shape is a non-functional shape. It can be any square, round, it can be anything. A non-functional one is coming under the Industrial Design Act. Right? The speaker, I am putting it, a non-functional feature is coming under that. But if it's a functional part of it, it comes to the patenting part of it. Right? So, and the fans, everything, what is visibly appealing to you is coming into the Industrial Design Act. This is much easier to get than patent. And then design part of it, the watch designs, the embedded technologies, all these coming in. So you have got more people working on the industrial designs than on the patents, because these are got a short duration. Marketing wise, this is better. All the marketing people, when they say innovation, they mean designs, because this is what is appealing to the naked eye. When I like to have a particular color combination, okay, then I say this particular shape, all this particular, right? And it's improving like anything. Now the trademark, this is improving. How do I protect a smell? Right? So now it's coming under the trademark. Originally, the trademark is only for the names only, names, logos, emblems. Right? And now the smell part of it, people are trying to protect. The smells are protected, automatically protected. Many other features which distinguish your product and the origins of it. When you start a Microsoft, the particular sound that comes to you. Right? So all the particular sounds are also protectable under the trademark. So many things which distinguishes and gives you information about the source of a product are coming under the trademark. And life is becoming more complicated because we are talking about experiencing the life. Right? So when you're talking experiencing, mostly will be coming under the trademark. Right? So the Philips are coming with a new product. I think huge category of the LED lights. So the LED lights, you'll have an application. There is a Wi-Fi in the office, in the home. Right? So you'll be changing the colors and all this particular texture based on by you download an application and then you do something on your mobile and you'll be able to change the thing as and when required, or you can program it, right? So at night you want that, in the morning you want this, you want a number of things. Now you look at the number of protection that are coming, right? So the application is obviously coming under the Copyright Act, right? And the lights, LED, with the color LED is coming under the patent. Because you are talking about the technical features of the particular thing, the illumination, the color, these are coming in the technical part of it, that's a patent part of it. But the shapes part of it, how it looks like, is it a square, is it a round, is it a flat, that's are coming under the industrial designs part of it. Right? And if they are able to establish and say this particular color combination is very unique to us, others cannot give it. When I get this particular combination is mine only, obviously it becomes a design, a trademark. Certain color combination is accepted. If you see the logos, certain colors already associated with certain companies. Am I right? What are the Pepsi's? Blue, and it's already associated. Most of the companies, they have an association of color also. So unfortunately, the color, because the trademark, you cannot use the same name. I know, yeah, the same thing. So, innovation can be protected in several ways. It's a mix of things: patents, copyright, trademark, designs, and then we have got including one more is there, which is something technical, IC layout. So, what goes in your semiconductor layout is protected one another. IC layout is something similar to copyright, but slightly different because this is specifically made for the IC layout. So, all the chip designs, everything is coming under the IC layout act. Everything is protected. So, a product like Apple, when they say this is what I am trying to do, so he has got a large number of protection. So, what he wants to protect, what he doesn't want to protect. Let us see. So, when you read the current one, you read the new patents, then there's an indication about the direction they're thinking, right? People, before the Google has come with the Google Glass, people are knowing these people are working on something which is something wearable computing. Right? People have got some idea because they got a large number of patents applied for. So patents are what we say lead indicator. They tell you in advance what is likely to come. Right? Sensing, using the sensors, the hand movement, and doing this particular thing is already predicted because there are many patents are there. One prediction is that technology forecasting is a subject. The clustering of a patent is an indication about a likely event to take place. Clustering means a large number of players, or many players are working in the same area. That leads to clustering. So when many people are working in the same area, obviously this is going to result in something. So that's why people try to predict and say what is going to come. So many things are not really total surprises. So there will be always some surprise, but then many things are predictable. So what are the things people are predicting? People are predicting wearable computers. Already there in the market, a number of things, sensing the particular thing, the movement, okay, and then mind operated entire things, your cell phones, mobiles, and everything. Many things are predicted because already patents are there. Reading a patent is going to make us, give us a foresight. Trade secret is obvious. It's anything secret is a secret. Okay. As a student, you don't have the trade secret problem. You are going to join an organization, obviously, right? All of you will be joining some organization. Then the moment you join an organization, and he is paying, let me say that he is paying you some a million or 10 lakh rupees, and someone comes up with a better offer of 50 lakhs. Obviously, you are going to jump, right? So he will be no caught under the Trade Secrets Act. Obviously, the one who is going to give 5 times jump, he is expecting you to bring something. Am I right? See, yeah. IC layout of it. IC layout, the authority itself is DIT, Department of Information Technology, the authority in Delhi. I think you should, without hesitation, many people do not apply for the IC layout. They say the life is very short. Yes, you make a PCB design, you make a VLSI design. Then they say life itself is very short. The product life is only 2 years, 3 years. Why take the trouble? But you really do not know. And there is a lot of learning. My suggestion is that the project which you are working, apply, shoot out the application. IC layout. Anything, if you get a problem or not getting anything, you tell me, I'll give the references. But everything is available. Best way of learning is shoot out an application. You have nothing to lose. Of course, that application will be sent by IIT, institution. You'll have no problem. It's difficult to predict what are the consequences subsequently, right? So maybe you have got something. Your layout has got some unique features which is saving the power, which is saving the reducing the heat. What are the better things? Topography. Topography is very great. I'll tell you why it is so critical. Many companies who supported, one of the companies who supported wanted to work on the MPEG 2 in those days, right? So he made MPEG 2 audio version very successfully. Right? Then MPEG 2, They spent a lot of money. They made a design. They made a simulation. They made everything only. And then the decision has to come for siliconization. Shall I go for a foundry or not? They cost something like $1 million if I go for the first prototype. Then obviously, then you're going to compare the potential silicon and cost, right? So you are getting more area than the competitor. Right? So then the question is, then you look into the topography, say that why he is able to do it with less silica, why his area is much less. Then they found something, I understand, I don't get it, but something about the heat part of it. They got some better way of heat diffusion, whatever they call it. I think you call it diffusion or dissemination, whatever you call it. So something about the heat is the particular thing which they got some unique advantage, which these people are not able to bring. Then they dropped the idea. After spending a lot of time, resources, everything, they said I had to drop it because you have to compare in this world, right? Topography is indication because I understand topography is most nearer to the market side. The big, the chip foundries, and they are asking for some amount, I think non-recurring expense, what are the thing. I think that depends on the topography, right? And the siliconization. It is a lot of information, and then you'll be able to, once you go there, there will be so many things which are already listed. You can also go through the documents, different information technologies, right? Go ahead without hesitation. My suggestion is that anything you want to do, copyright or industrial design or the IC layout, it's not a hesitate. Go shoot out the application. You have nothing to lose. At least in India, it's not very expensive. Outside, it's expensive. In India, it's not expensive, but you'll be learning many things in the process. So when you are changing this employer, then there comes what are you going to bring along with you. Right? So most likely behind something, right? When you're working in a subject, you'll be learning something. So what you're learning is very important. So the court has a problem, is that are you learning something on hand, which is inherent, which is essential for you to do the job? Are you learning something because the company under a particular contract act, because when you sign something, employment, automatically this is already there. You cannot do anything without the company's permission. You cannot join a competitor. You cannot take away the company's right. All this. You already signed. Whether you like it or not, you have to sign the document, non-disclosure document for joining any company. That's a must for you. The question is that how significant it is particular thing. And it's very significant. You have got many companies where the vice presidents, they wanted to join a competing organization. They were stalled from joining the competing organization because he going along with him, the trade secrets, the company's inherent property. Okay? Chemicals is very easy to establish is a secret or not. Because chemical, if one person knows, the secret is out. But the job which we learn on job is difficult. Some part of it is inherent. Without that, you cannot perform. So what is essentially for you to perform is yours. That you can go anywhere and you continue to do the same thing. What is not essential for you to perform? What is given to you under a particular obligation? Saying that this is the, let us say, this is the product of a NASA. Under NASA, you are supposed to doing blah blah blah. Then you go out. Then something has been additionally assigned to you, and then you are additionally trained. You want to move up, you require all this proprietary knowledge, and the proprietary knowledge makes you bound to a certain organization. It's a trade-off between this thing. Trade secrets are a very common part of it, and again, it becomes the state subject. In some places, they're very liberal. Understand, California is very liberal with the trade secrets. They don't have bother. But in some other places like New York, I think they are very touchy. It depends on the place because its enforcement is depending on the employer. So this is what I say is a culture of a place. Huh? Very weak. Very weak. Most of it comes as the employer's essential part of the thing. And without that one, you cannot perform. Then we say that. And really, part of it, people do not share also. People do not share the full thing, which is a secret. They share a part of it. That's why the entire piecemeal job part of it. Now, why you get a part of the job? Why you do not get the full job? Is that you cannot make out the full picture. Except for the few people, most people do not know the full picture. You work out on an assigned part of it. With somewhere you start and somewhere you end. You do not know what is happening before, and you do not know what is going to happen separately. Right? So, since you do not get the full picture, your understanding will be incomplete. That's what people try to do it. When the government do it, it becomes espionage, right? So Chinese government, they do it. I mean, all governments do it. All governments do it. So now people are afraid of the China. Good old days, people are afraid of the Russia, other countries. USA is not a. USA is more prominent in doing the espionage. Right? So you read the paper, they say that the ISRO scientists, die mysteriously. This anywhere there is something important going on, someone is going to look at you. Right? It's the governments or the corporations. Your value is increasing. The moment your value increases, someone is going to shadow you. It's a part of life and this sort of thing. What this government is doing is planning this particular thing. Now, we have been talking about this particular thing. All the telecom equipment is coming from China, right? So we are all worried saying that after there may be a bug there may be someone, the chap is listening on a war day, he'll send a signal from there, so all the power plants will stop and all the phones will go dead. That's what is the fear. But NASA has got the same fear that now they're also getting into the Chinese telecom network. They also worried in what to do. Yes, to what extent you can really trace this particular thing with so many high technologies, all this particular thing. Espionage is a very common thing which is taking place. The early part of it is supposed to be good old days, James Bond. If you see the thing, the chap will go with a camera and shoot it. That's what is the original part of the trade secret. So nowadays the technology has changed, so you do not go. Okay. We are now. We got all this particular thing, all these amendments, everything. One regularly we come with this particular thing. We say that our IPR is as good as this particular thing. The discussion debate is between India, not the USA and non-NS. USA is always saying that I do in my own way. All other countries, the first to apply will get a patent. USA, the first to innovate will get a patent. So there is fundamental difference. But USA now coming around to the world view, and that this is much easier. The first to innovate is difficult to find out. The first to apply is the document, right? Though it's not fair. You're innovator, you're not applied. For us, it becomes a part of the prayer art. For them, he gets it right. They are exclusively different from the rest of the community, but they are also amending this thing to become like other countries. Now we'll come to the particular thing. So all institutions will have IP cell. So we'll have probably a formal IP cell, and that's what they do. So all the students, faculty, researchers, they have to submit to them disclosures, and then they'll be scrutinizing it for the possible IP. And where they think there is a possibility of patenting, they'll say, okay, do not go, do not jump and make a publication, do not attend the seminars, do not talk about, do not have a giant papers, all this particular things. So they'll examine this particular thing. Then IP they'll provide. Application and get Indian patent, then the problem starts. After getting the patent, what to do? Next class we'll talk about the technology commercialization, but there is a cost involved. Patenting is very expensive. You get Indian patent, you'll not be very happy. You say I want a US patent, right? So the expenses will be included. And after getting US patent, the patent has to be renewed. So patent application, patent renewal, then international patenting, at least 3 or 4 countries. Unless you apply for a patent in USA and Europe and Japan, we say it's not really valid patent globally. So all these are very expensive. The money will evaporate in no time. So that's what they complained about CSR. If you read the document of CSR every year spends crores and crores of amount to protect the patent. But people question, you are spending crores, but what are the revenues, which we'll discuss next time. That very difficult to get revenues. Revenues are, and there is a relationship which is a lag relationship. There is no straightforward relationship. It's more difficult. So how long and how you are going to apply and protect the patents. Patents are for the future exploitation and for the research work also. Patent is an expensive proposal. So people look at for different reasons why do this particular thing. Right? For commercial, for lifetime, cost of patenting. Commercial people have got a different way of looking at. They look at the market, they look at the revenues, and they look at the offensive reason, defensive reason, deterrent to the others, and then let us say that publicity is always important for us. Institutions, publicity is important because the national money is there, so we'll be happy. It's a prestige basically. See that we have got 200 patents, we got 2,000 patents. It's a question of prestige. Patents are also important. So patents are important for the innovator. Patents are important because you have got a relationship with the institution. Patents are also important because you are going to do something with industry, right? So when you are going to do something in industry, there can be any other scenarios. he can give a non-exclusive license agreement, he can give exclusive license agreement where he can own the IP. Your research is giving a patent and you are licensing. Obviously, you try to keep a control on your IP. He is giving a sponsored project. He is already working on a particular project. He is giving a smaller project to you in his line of activities. So there is already some patent, some proprietary know-how he has got. So then he is going to decide how much he is going to deploy. So this particular thing is always is a very important part of any sponsored research project. What is the thing which is going to happen to the intellectual property? Intellectual property before the entering of the agreement, intellectual property generated during the agreement, and intellectual property that is subsequently coming into the market after the agreement. So three phases of the agreement had to be thing, and there are model agreements. Sometime we'll look at the model agreements and what are the advantage of the model agreement that way, this way. It's easy to say that we want to give a non-exclusive rights, but it's not doable. There is always a right, and there is always a commercial value to the thing. When you say I'll give a non-exclusive right, and obviously he will not be giving much money to you. When you say I'm going to give exclusive right, there will be money will be much bigger. Then he may not allow you to work on the research because he will be afraid if I give continue work, then some other place, some other person will get the benefit. These are all very difficult, but then this is what is, many nations have got this model agreement. We look at the model agreements and what to do. All these are important. That is, for the nation perspective, knowledge, innovation markets, obviously, the intervention part of it, right? So this is intellectual. This is the intangible assets of a nation. Capital, innovation, knowledge, human capital, markets. So for converting knowledge to innovation, we have got a research funding, IPR rules, technology transfer, networking, clustering, research infrastructure. These are generally the facilitators, and mostly the government is active. Then capital to innovation, we got taxation policy, we got angel investment, we got policies, we got state aid, we got TEP programs. This is the how the department. Innovation to market, technology commercialization, multiplicated, market regulations, environment, health protection. Human capital to innovation, education, training, skill gaps to talk about, employability gaps, skill gaps, and the people are not up to date. These are the interventions by the various stakeholders to ensure that totality is taken, the knowledge gets transformed into innovation, ultimately the innovation goes to the market. This is what is the big picture of the intellectual assets from a national perspective. I think we'll come to the end of it. Any clarifications? Any? Next one we'll again discuss about technology commercialization. Thereafter, I'll be always available. You can always discuss anything specific if you're applying for a patent. You can discuss specific anything working on ideation, innovation, technology. Anything you're working specifically, we can always discuss. I will be available. And 24 hours on the net. Physically, yes, now and then, but mostly available on the net nowadays. So.
Is any work can be published like on addition to what is patented or that let's say if I want to patent something. So that I'm allowed to publish it or because it will be in the public.
I agree. That's what your IP cell generally takes a call. The IP cell, when they look at your disclosure, and then they say, is it something, then you say, this is your disclosure you're going to put. Then you say that you're going to get to publish it in so paper, you're going to a seminar, you want to read it in a seminar. IP cell takes the call, say that, is it something patentability is there? Is it something to be free? If there is a patentability, then there will be conditions like a time frame. And when you're going there, and then who are the people that are coming there? But not secret. It will be between you and your IP cell. As you are supposed to be continuously informing your IP cell what you are trying to do, and they are supposed to make a sense out of this thing. What is your work? And then if they say, okay, hold on, then I suppose you will hold on. If they say, go ahead, this is not something which we are going to patent and spend money, then you, right? In the initial phases, IPSL will give you
So
more freedom.
The decision is more upon the individual
Up and
to decide whether idea worth investing or not.
initially, it will be the faculty or the innovator, student or the researcher innovator. But once you accumulate over a period of time, then the IPSL then will take a shot because there will be legal people are there. You have already accumulated something. When you have accumulated something, the additionality is always something. To look at totality, then they look at the total. The innovator faculty may know only what is contributing, but the totality perspective part of it. So generally, let us say, if you are in MIT, you will not have the freedom. But IIT definitely, because this is the beginning stage. MIT doesn't have the freedom because they already got a large complex web of many things are there. So you got the famous case, Bose was there. Senior Bose, he was a faculty like Yala. Senior Bose, he has got the REO or blah blah blah. In those days, he has got all the rights. MIT gave him all the permissions, all the rights. He didn't pay any royalty. He simply walked away and then he had set up the Bose speakers, such a big one. Then I think Bose Junior also was a faculty. He was also a professor. And then he wanted to take some new patent. They didn't give anything. Go with IPSL. There is a rule book and that this yes, complexity, the improvement, all this sort of thing. So it's much easier for the Bose senior compared to the Bose junior.
There is another many authors publish papers
Mm,
after publishing their research work in different journals.
mm,
So obviously, like a patent or copyright of that work remains with the author, but there is an agreement with the journal that they can't show. Under that condition,
mm.
how they can bring on those published papers to the journal? Let's say in other books that they want, because that will be through some other publisher.
But they cannot deny the right to the other. Other has got a right.
Does the author have a
Without permission to the publisher, because he has assigned the right to the publisher. So originally he assigned something, he assigned the right to the publisher. Now that particular thing he's been selling it for 50 cents. Now can you give free copies? No, you cannot give. You got an e-book, let us say, and he's selling for $5. Can you give free copies? You cannot give it. You can give only free copies which is under the agreement. He allow you to give 5 copies, 7 copies. Now you got a papers published. Okay, and the papers you want to make use of it to come with a book. Yes, with the certain citations and with all the references, it's allowed because others have an inherent right to improve upon this particular thing to come with the better thing. You can improve it, and that also that paper can be a part of your chapter. It can be a part of the chapter. No, you will not be infringing, but you will have to keep him in the loop, inform him, not sharing anything. You have to inform him. So this publisher will take a permission from the earlier publisher. He will do the work, but it comes automatically. It will come automatically. Because the other has got a right, an inherent right. Okay, thank you all. See you.